And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. It's another week of football to talk about. We've had a lovely Easter weekend. Hope everyone's had a fantastic Easter. There's so much football going on at this time of year. So we've even got a live Premier League game tonight. But we actually are tonight going to focus mostly on a club that's given the three of us a hell of a headache this season. And we feel like we need, and I think people have been calling for it as well, a bit of therapy. We need a bit of therapy. We need to go through it and we need to just play it all out, and then we'll all feel much better about ourselves and our club, we hope, by the end of it. But we are going to talk a bit of the Premier League at the end as well. So if you're not Manchester United fans, don't worry. You can comment. We want your opinions, anybody's opinions, and how we can maybe if they're kind of okay as to maybe what we can take to support how United could get back. But we will, of course, meet our fellow Manchester United fans, and I can say this, a Manchester United fan panel. I've got the wonderful Grimmy sporting a lovely Alfa Romeo top. How are you doing, Grimmy?
Thanks very much. I didn't feel it would be right wearing a Man United top, considering we're going to be having a therapy session. So I kept it dark and murky like the season. So yeah, but yeah, doing well. How are you, Sam?
I'm not too bad. I went with their screw it. I'm going to wear a United jacket just because it can't get any worse, can it? Surely, hopefully not. So why not? We'll plow on through. And of course, it's wonderful. Wonderful to have Hannah back with us. Hannah, how are you doing?
Football aside, I'm great, and it's good to be back. Thank you for having me. But yeah, I feel like if you're not a United fan, you're probably just here to laugh today, which I kind of don't blame you, but be nice, please. It's been tough.
This is it. We accept some criticism as long as it doesn't cut us too deep. You know, we're trying our best. We're trying our best to stay happy and stay with you. But everybody's always happy. Is the chat, the wonderful chat. Of course, we have Graham, our super Graham. Good evening to you. Hope you're well. It's so good to see Hannah back. Graham's happy to see Hannah. Sean, welcome to the M16 therapy session with the handsome United team. There we go, Graham. Look, they're buttering us up early, Grimmy. This is not going to go well.
There's a fall coming here. There's a fall coming.
It's early. Graham says at least it's still red and black, Grimmy. So
yeah,
there you go. Still feeling it. And of course, our wonderful Shah. What a fantastic team! I hope you're all good. Thank you, Shah. Hope you're doing well as well. Right, shall we? I was thinking maybe we'll start with a bit of negative from the weekend, then we'll go on to the crazy positives maybe of the Europa League, and then we'll delve deep into just what the hell's going. Probably.
Yeah.
So shall we start? Grimmy, shall I start with you? Obviously, we had the Premier League back this weekend, which as United fans is kind of getting in the way of everything else at the moment because it's not great on a weekly basis. Wolves won, Manchester United 0. Tell me all about it, Grimace.
I mean, it wasn't a surprise, really, was it? Let's be honest. Like, Amram set out the stall pretty early on Thursday night saying, look, we're going to have to play the kids and just try and wrap people up in bubble wrap and see how it goes. So I briefly had a sliver of hope about 60 minutes in when we're still 0-0, thinking, oh, we might nick one here if we can nick a goal. But yeah, it's Premier League's kind of just a write-off at this point, isn't it? If we get a win between now and the end of the season, it's great for the kids. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it, really. It's kind of, I'm losing all hope, but there you go.
It was kind of one of those that happened, wasn't it? I looked at it and just went, and Amram had said on Thursday, look, Europa League's the focus. It was a different kind of team that we were kind of looking at. We had a youngster starting at left back that we'd never seen before, with a few sort of changes in there as well. That was a bit tricky. And I was unable to watch. I was away this Easter and I looked after about 25 minutes, I think, and there was no shots. Nothing had happened. Nothing in any attacking box. I was like, oh, here we go. This has got Wolves 1-0 written all over it. I can see this coming. And it did. It did happen. Yeah. Hannah, what did you make of Wolves sneaking a 1-0 win at Old Trafford?
It's funny because like 99.9% of the time, like I'll get so irate, but like I genuinely felt nothing. Like it's
Just
the
numb.
first time in a long time where I've just been like, it's not surprising, and I'll be positive because I did think that we were the better team. It was a case of the better team lost. It was just the same shit, different day. Couldn't put our chances away, and it bites us in the arse. And it's happened literally every game this season, and it's so frustrating because I actually was so impressed by Harry Amas and Tyler Frederickson. I thought they were both probably our best players on the pitch, which is quite funny. But I thought they were fantastic, and it's kind of I think it's a good thing that Amarim's kind of going, we'll play the kids because they're getting minutes and they're getting time, and we'd hope that next season they will be getting pushed to the first team more and more. Obviously, it depends on the kind of summer that we have, but if I'm taking the positives out of that game, I thought those two were brilliant. I think Harry Amas is literally like a little baby Luke Shaw. Some of the crosses that he was putting in, it was just unfortunate that Hoyland is our striker and can't put them away. But like some of the crosses that he was making, and just like the way that he plays, it was so silky. Like he's quite small, but like the way he did it, I was really impressed with him. And Tyler Frederickson did not put a foot wrong. I thought he was brilliant. Again, you kind of Wolves is a hard team to play. Like they've already beat us once this season. That was a really tough game. I think that was Pereira's first game, and obviously we got new manager bounce with him. I wasn't surprised that we lost, but I did see shreds of hope. Like we didn't get battered. We were dominant. They just got a really, and you have to kind of stand up and applaud a great free kick. That was a great free kick, but it was a little bit of luck. The foul wasn't a foul, I don't think. I think they were lucky to get that free kick. So it's just very small margins. So although it's really annoying, and obviously we lost 3 points, I'm starting to see compared to September, October, November, December, that improvement. I don't know if anyone else does. I know everyone's kind of fed up, and I do obviously understand that we're focused on the Europa League as you would hope, but I'm starting to see very small improvements. And I think once Amarim gets some signings, I think we'll be miles better because as well, everyone forgets in the summer we're getting rid of a lot of dead wood. There's at least 6 players that are definitely going. So I think if we can just be a little bit more patient. I know it's been shit, it's been horrible, but I saw shreds of good things from that game. A little bit.
A little bit. To be fair, I think there are moments. There's little patterns you can see that they give you that are better than what we've seen before and stuff. I think as you said, the problem is just the attack's crap. So as we just get to the point where we are creating and get ourselves in these opportunities, and we just either we don't create something in that final third, or as you say, like Hoyland just isn't it. It's just not happening. Garnacho's not consistent enough, and same, you just haven't got that kind of. If it's not Bruno, then you're kind of thinking, where's the goals coming from? So I think I can see some of those patterns and things. I think it'll be interesting, like Kobbie Mainoo's back in, playing him a bit further forward. That gives you a different thing. And playing the kids, you say. So Matt agrees with you. He says pick the kids every week for sure. There's nothing to lose now in the Premier League for that. I get it. And I'd rather he takes this opportunity over the next, few weeks that we have left in the Premier League to work out, okay, what of these youngsters could I bring in my squad next year? Because the reality is we'd love to see like 95% of the squad just hacked out and in, but that's not going to happen. We're going to have to keep some of them. So, and he's not going to be able to buy, 6, 8, 10 players. So he's probably going to have to bring quite a few of the youth. Anybody else apart from Harry and Mash you'd like to see brought through?
I think he needs more time, and he's obviously in the first team squad. But Chido Obi Martin, I think I don't think Hoyland should be starting at all. And I know it's like a statement and it's drastic to like cut your only striker because we've got like so many injured forwards, but give the kids a chance. Let's be honest. This is why I don't understand. When I saw that lineup, the one thing that frustrated me as well is why are you captaining Victor Lindelof when he's leaving in 3 weeks? Like, why are you playing Christian Eriksen when he's leaving in 3 weeks? Like, get the kids on. Like, you've got Morehouse on your bench. You've got like decent academy players that if you throw them on in these games, I understand like it's the Premier League and it's tough, but if they're going to come up the ranks next season, why are you playing players that are literally leaving for free in a few weeks? Like, I don't understand that. When I saw Victor Lindelof as captain, I was like, what?
How far have we fallen?
The managers, I don't think Ruben Amorim is like completely innocent, and I love that man. I want him to succeed so badly, But when there's 5 games left and we're already going to finish on our lowest points ever, that's already happening. Like, why would you not just literally play all of the kids? Like, I don't understand it. So, I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard.
It's tricky because you don't want to throw them under the bus at the same time. In the case that it's different coming into a team when they're a succeeding team. It's how we had it in the past. Players that came in would be arms around the shoulder from the kind of the experienced players, the leaders. And you look at like Harry Amass was coming in at St James's Park at left back, and you're thinking absolute baptism of fire when we were in terrible form. Got spanked as well. None of it was his fault, but what a tough start for him to come in. Sean says you need to give the young lads time and experience because they're not going to learn otherwise. Even into Spanish fan Chris is in as well. Started his new job, strange hours, but can watch the show on his way back home. Well, there you go. There's a lot of congratulations on your new job. There's a lot of United players that will have new jobs next season, I think, the way it's going. As you said, there's quite a few leaving. Lindelof's a strange one because you said, I know defence we're short in a few areas, but to make him captain, as you said, just doesn't make sense in terms of what they're doing. You've got, as you said, Christian Eriksen is just the legs just aren't there. It's just it's having a passenger in there. Rasmus Højlund. I mean, Graham says Højlund lately is about as useful as a porcelain hammer. I mean, I think it's all season, isn't it? It's not just recent. Grimmy, what for you have you seen sort of over the last few weeks? Is there any clamour to hope in some of what you've seen over a few of the games in April? Because it's not all been awful. A lot of it has, but some of it's been okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we played decent on Sunday against Wolves. I think the frustrating one for me was the Forest game, because the Forest game we moved it about quite well, and we just couldn't use that forward line to get anything going. It was a case of, I think the past month we've moved it around a lot better in the middle of the park. We've kept the ball a lot better as well. It's just that forward line is just not good enough to score enough goals or to put even half chances away. And at the minute, that's what we need. Is if we even have a sniff of a shot outside the box or just inside the box, we need someone to be able to put it away. And unfortunately, we just don't have that at the minute. So I think the European matches have kind of given us a bit of a positive buzz and momentum. I mean, after Thursday, I almost had heart failure, to be honest, but that's another feeling. But yeah, there is strings of hope there. It's just a case of we need a good summer. It doesn't need to be like, I mean, it's not going to be because we don't have the money, but like we need a good 4 or 5 good signings that fit in and hit the ground running. Because if we don't and we have a stuttering start to the season, it's going to be pretty ropey, I think, for Amram. As much as I love the guy, I think if he has a full summer and we don't start well enough, next season's going to be a tough slog, I think. I mean, it could be a tough slog anyway, but I'd rather us be, showing signs of progress under him and then try and build from that. But yeah, it's getting better in certain places, but at the same time, it's not. It's a weird feeling. I really don't know how to summarize it better than that, really.
It's so unpredictable, isn't it? As you said, I agree. I think the start of next season is going to be crucial as to how ultimately this is gonna pan out. It worries me a bit that there's similarities in where we were this time, not into the league table, but we were saying the same things with Ten Hag. We're saying if we don't get the recruitment right in the summer, if we don't start well, then he'll be gone, and that clearly happened. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we had the FA Cup final last year, which was a kind of similar distraction to the Europa League in that aspect. We were kind of everything was on the FA Cup, but the league's been even worse this year in a kind of crazy way. Graham, of course, is keeping everybody on their toes. Has Harry Amass got a brother called Chris? Very, very good, Chris. Very good, Graham. Very good. We can always rely on you for your one-liners. Talking of Chris, not Chris Amass, but Chris is here saying, I think the structural difference and the positional familiarity is much better now. But confidence is low. Højlund is dreadful, and I cringe seeing Lindelof and Eriksen. I agree. I think the structural is better defensively. Apart from the last few games, I think they've been a lot more solid. I think we're very good when we kind of tuck in and we make things very difficult for teams to play through. We've seen that in games. The Manchester City game, we were very good defensively. She had nothing going forward, but very good defensively. And I can see those little sort of patterns and aspects you say. You just think if there's just one or two things that can add to his team, and generally, we'll come on to the Europa League game that was last week in a moment, but generally in the Europa League, it's suited us better, I think. It's allowed that kind of time to play. And you can see some of the benefits of his style playing that kind of way. We just have these crazy moments where we throw 2-goal leads away. But Hannah, I'll ask you this question. Maguire up front, is that the answer in the final few games?
Thursday, why not? Because we were all right with the back three. Like, we've got enough defenders to cover that. I know, obviously, playing Lindelof, like I said, isn't ideal if we need to. But like you say, defensively, we've been I think we've been a lot better. But it's costing us when we can't score goals, because we should have scored 4 or 5 on Sunday, and because we didn't, we lost. Like, it's the fine margin. So get Harry up front. Like, Ruben literally himself said he's the only one that can put it away with. That man, like, he's had a turnaround as it is, but like you say, for the last few games, what harm is it going to do? We're already having our worst season ever, so why not? But that's up to him, isn't it? But I don't think he will do that. But
no, I like the 10 minutes. It causes so much chaos just by having someone up there that's, and you can see suddenly the centre backs have a different problem. It reminds me very much of when Van Gaal used to do it a bit with Fellaini. Didn't used to play him up front. He used to play him off the striker. And if we were struggling, he would just be like, just go 60, 70 yards up to Fellaini and he can bring it down, and then we'd start from there. But Maguire just causes so much chaos in the box. So much chaos. And chaos, Grimmy, was what we saw last Thursday. As you said, how do you kind of begin to analyse a game like that, where for the best part of the game at 2-0 up, they've done a really good job, I thought. They started for the first time in a while, started on the front foot. Old Trafford was behind them. The atmosphere was incredible. 2-0 up, cruising, then panic button, disaster, and then beautiful, beautiful chaos. How do you talk about last Thursday?
I mean, where do you even start? I mean, let's start off with the first 70 minutes. I think the first 70 minutes, we were very much the best team on the pitch. We should have been 2-0 up. If we'd put a couple more chances away, which could be a constant theme of this podcast tonight, I think, we wouldn't have had the drama that we had in extra time. But then as soon as we conceded that first goal, you could just feel it. Just air got sucked out of Old Trafford, and everybody, and I'm sure every Man United fan across the globe watched that and went, "Oh, here we go again." And then we conceded the second, and I was thinking, "Oh no, here we go." And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not one to throw strops watching football matches or get angry watching football matches. It doesn't happen very often, but when we conceded that third goal, the stroppiest version of me came out, and I was ready to. I didn't switch TV off. I nearly switched TV off. The hand was on the remote, ready to twitching with impatience. But when the fourth one went in, it was like, I think my wife was ready to call an ambulance for me to have a heart failure or heart attack or something. So I mean, I texted you, Sam. I was like, what is happening here? Like, what's going on? Like, I think it was fair to say we were both in a pretty miserable mood. And then when Bruno got that penalty in, again, weirdly, I still felt like we could equalize. I don't know why, because the previous 30 minutes didn't suggest we were going to do anything. But yeah, Manu putting it in, and then Maguire, of all the people, to get the winner for us up front, just, slab edit is greatest, I think. Would have only been better if he'd scored the winner at Anfield if he hadn't placed that over the bar. But apart from that, it was a night of roller coaster of emotions. I think that's the best way I can put it.
It certainly was. So I think I remember texting you, was it 3-4 or something? And I think I said to you, if we've ever needed a double Desmond, we've needed a double Desmond, now's the time. And we got one, and we got even better than, I don't know what a 5-4 is that turns around from a 3-4, but
I remember texting you back saying it's not going to happen. Like I was in full instruct mode at that point. Like I just was like, I'm done with this now. Like it's not going to happen.
I just got the sense after Bruno scored so quickly, and I thought there's a lot of time, and you've just seen this kind of at Old Trafford, and by that point Leon had completely sunk back, and you just thought this game, the chaos. But I didn't see them scoring twice. Sean says, "How's the heart rate after Thursday?" Well, as Grimmy said, like pretty horrendous at the time, but I've had a chill weekend. Well, I had a chill weekend, and then took the kids away. My daughter came up to me from the park and said, "Some kids in the park shouting Harry Maguire," and my heart just went again, and it was like a flashback all over again. I was like, flashbacks to Thursday. Anna, how was it? How was it for you? Was it a gentle evening of watching football?
When we go 2-0 up before half time, you're like, because obviously Diogo got that equaliser on like the 46th minute, so just on the stroke of half time, I was like, there on Twitter, like, perfect time to get the second goal. Like, we're in this now, like, park the bus, just sit back, we're 40 up, like, get all the kids on, just like park the bus, it's fine. Then obviously, like, disaster occurs. But the thing that annoys me about this team, and I've said this, like, this is why I actually get like really annoyed with them week in, week out, like, when their back's against the wall, they can do it, and they do it. Why can't they just play like that even 50% all the time? Why can't they play like that in the league? Because, like, when they need it, they all really do, like, go for it. And Thursday, we will never, ever forget. Like, and I wish that I'd gone to that game. Like, that must have been, like, magical. And
limbs, yeah.
The hard way, but they've given us, even in our worst times, some insane moments, like the Old Trafford win last season against Liverpool. Like, even when we're at our like worst, they produce it. So it's kind of a bit bittersweet for me, because I'm like, you literally show us that you can do it. Like, you just really, really, really need to have your back up against the wall. Like, which annoys me, because they don't need to do that. They could have gone and scored another 2 or 3 goals and not been so sloppy and conceded them. So it's kind of, it's great, but the negative part of me says we should never have conceded 4 goals. Like, I turned it off I did turn it off. I turned it off when we conceded that penalty. And then when I was like seeing on Twitter, like, we've got a penalty, I was like, even if we get one, like, it's going to make it even worse because we're not going to win. But then to score, like, no one expects 3 goals in like 5 minutes. It was just, it was unbelievable. And like, I love them, but I also hate them for it, because like, I wish, like, just I could take myself out of my body on Thursday and put it in like a neutrals, because as a neutral, that must have been an unreal game to watch. Like, obviously it was great for us because we won, but at the time, I felt like I was like having like an out of body experience. I was like, this is not happening, because I was so angry, and because obviously we conceded the goals, like, and then we had the other extra time. Like, we all had like 40 minutes to sit there and think they have just thrown like a 4-2 lead away, and I was getting angry, and then we conceded that penalty, and I was like, off, TV off. Don't get me wrong, if I was at the stadium, I wouldn't have left. Like, I think that's a waste of time and money if you go to the stadium and then leave. It's obviously a bit easier when you're at home. You can just, but they're a crazy bunch, but they don't half piss me off, because they can do it, and I don't get why they don't do it. So it's a hard one, isn't it? You kind of think it was amazing, but at the same time, like you know, it's hard.
You kind of have that bottled up feeling, don't you? I was exactly the same as I was watching it. Just thinking, as afterwards, you're thinking about like the context of what's happened and what's done, and you're thinking that was still pretty shit for a lot of that, because you said to throw the game away the way that we had, and the fact that it means so. I mean, the context of it still is we might go out in the semi-finals, and it's like, in terms of the context of what it means, might not mean anything. It'll still be a game you'll forever remember, but like, because we need the Europa League so much as a way in the Champions League, because we need the financials off the back of it, it kind of added, it's the only thing left this season. It's like Amorim needs it, the players need it, we need that boost, and it just added that kind of extra something else. As you said, to be in that position to chuck it away. And one of my biggest criticisms of this side have kind of been over the past few years, not just more under Ten Hag than to be under Amorim, was their lack of urgency. The lack of urgency when they're just playing, and it's just kind of like, I get patient play and I get there's times to slow the tempo down, but they're sitting down expecting something's going to happen. And you're like, guys, you do this every week and nothing happens. Nothing happens. You have to go and make it happen. And that they draw upon that Old Trafford crowd and that United of old, where they then, when the backs are up against the walls, attack, throwing players forward, and yeah, you get caught and you get done. And we've had games where that's happened to us. So the Bournemouth one in particular, we were chasing the game and they picked us off on the counter attack because we weren't effective in how we did it. So it doesn't always come your way, but like it just frustrates me, as you said, how they can. You see something, you see that kind of connection and that buzz, and then the stadium's involved, and there is that link, and then you just kind of see what it means to them too, and you just think it's just. I mean, we know there's a lack of quality generally to be where we want to be, but then there's enough to do stuff like that. I mean, the goals that we scored.
I think we have the worst attack, but like we just concede the most ridiculous goals. And I think, like you said, our defense has actually been good this season. I think De Ligt's been solid. Mazraoui's been great. I think the back three can and will work. Oh, Lenny Yoro as well. How good was he on Thursday?
Oh, super good, yeah.
It's so frustrating, isn't it? Like, you can see why people laugh at us. And Harry Maguire's there afterwards. Like, I know he must have felt amazing because he got the winner, but like they all say we don't do it the easy way. I'm like, that's an understatement. That is, because it's not just in 1 or 2 games. It's in like every game, even the Wolves game. Like, we don't do it easy because we could have been 3-0 up at half time, and it's like, why don't you just show a shred of that passion in the Premier League, please? Yeah. But the Premier League's done this season.
I just cannot remember a game where they've been, and I've been sat there, and there might have been one, and I think I do remember it because I was sat there thinking, this is comfortable after an hour or something. I think there was a game a little while back that we won, I think by 2 or 3 goals or something. You're thinking, this is just unheard of. Like, we're always having to rescue a situation. We're always having to chuck stuff on, and it's just showing at the minute because the options now, from an attacking perspective, aren't there because we let so many players go out on loan in January. We couldn't bring in anything to kind of support that structure you had. Ahmad got injured, which was a massive kick in the nuts for us because he's been our best player by a flipping mile attacking wise. Rasmus Højlund forgot where the goal was entirely, having last season shown some kind of promise and has just fallen off, and then add lack of confidence on top of that, absolute disaster. And then actually Xerxes started to put in some decent performances, scored in Lyon the week before, had some moment, and was linking play up. To be honest, the one where he got injured, that run he was on, you were thinking, the crowd was starting to love him, and then he's out for the season, and you're like, magic. So we can't even play Obi in there because he's not bloody registered for European competition. So it is Harry Maguire or bust up front. So it's. I mean, if there's a guy to win it in the last minute, it's got to be Super Harry. But Grimmy, can they win the Europa League like this? Because the Bilbao, one of those, I remember them from years ago. They were a pain in the arse. Spanish teams are always difficult for us. The way they play, I just think, I'm not looking forward to the game over there.
No, I'm not looking forward to it either. Spain's never really been a great place for us anyway, at the best of times. But Bilbao are, like you say, one of those pain in the arse teams that you don't want to face at the best of times, and they're doing pretty well in the Liga at the minute as well. So they are, this isn't a Bilbao team that are doing like maybe Seville, who are like 12th or 13th and trying to win the Europa League the Emery way or something. But can we win it? Yes. Am I confident in us winning it? Absolutely not. Because I can just see it us getting to the final, and then we've got to play Spurs. And then Spurs somehow anti-Spurs their way and beat us to the trophy, and then we're just left in a pile of our own tears. But yeah, I mean, we can, because Europe is a different kettle of fish to the Premier League, and we obviously have a bit more time on the ball, and our players seem to have confidence in Europa League, which is a rare thing to see nowadays. But do I think we'll win it? I think Bilbao will get through, to be honest. I think if we can get a good result, I can't remember if are we at home the first
second leg's at Old Trafford. That's the
right.
That's the.
So if we keep it tight in the first leg and even take like a 0-0 back or a 1-0 loss back, maybe we can do something at home. But we need to. Højlund needs to like take some form of like liquid luck from Harry Potter or something, just to try and like get some goals or something, like rub a rabbit's foot, whatever it is. Just like all the superstitions in the world, don't walk on cracks on the path or something, like, don't walk under a ladder. just get all the luck he possibly can for these next couple of games and just bag a couple for us, because we need him to find something, because we're desperate at this point.
We need like the Rasmus Højlund that, I mean, was it Villa last season? He got 2. Was it Boxing Day, I think, last season, where he suddenly sort of turned up to? We need that kind of out of nowhere. I want a Ruud van Nistelrooy version of Højlund just for one game when we need it the most.
Yeah.
Hannah, what do you make of like Højlund in particular, as we're talking sort of Rasmus Højlund? Because last season we saw some promise, and that this season it's just like, I think, to be fair, Lucas went through it with me the other week, and he was saying, who would you have in the Premier League? Who would you have Højlund over in the Premier League? And then you go through the list and you're literally like, apart from Saints' striker, it's a tough call. Where are you with Højlund? What do you think we do with him?
And I'm really like for that, especially because of how like toxic the United fan base is, and how if someone doesn't perform in 5 games, that's it, they're done then. But I do think you have to call a spade, and he is just simply not the man to be leading the Manchester United front line. Like, I'm sorry, it's a really hard job. But I think the mistake that we've made with him is I know that Spurs wouldn't have sold us Harry Kane. I do know that he was like my dream signing, but I'm sick of United going after, especially forward players, not Premier League proven players, because we all know the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. It is. As much as we can, like, everyone thinks we're arrogant that it's the best league in the world, it is. Like, I think there's a massive difference. So to go from obviously where he was playing to, you know, the front line of United, I think the step up has been too big, and I think we've given him chance. I think Ten Hag really gave him a chance. Amarim's like starting him every single game when he probably shouldn't be. So I think we're all just probably like coming to the realization that he needs to go in the summer. I don't know if he will, because obviously we spent 80 million on him only 2 years ago, and it's kind of the same with Onana. Like, I don't think they're going to let these big strong option. That's why I know he's not a striker, but this is why I'm really glad it looks like we're going to sign Cunha, because I know he's expensive, I know he's a bit of a diva, but he's Premier League proven. He's shown that he can score in the Premier League consistently. This is what we need. And I know Premier League players are more expensive, and I'm not saying every single signing we get in the summer needs to be Premier League proven, but I think particularly our forwards, they just need to show that they can score goals in this league, because you can't be playing this experiment when, you know, we're playing 2-3 games a week and we're expected to be at a certain standard. We thought being 8th last season was bad enough, and it's just been, we all said, didn't we, it can't get any worse, like even if like we're not, but it's been like, we were literally talking about relegation a few weeks ago, and if the bottom 3 weren't that bad, we would be serious contenders. We've not even hit 40 points yet. Like, that's embarrassing. And I don't think our defence is an issue. We're not winning games because we're not scoring goals. How many games have we lost this season by 1 or 2? Like, and how many times have we gone, oh, if you just put that away? Like, I don't know if you saw his miss on Sunday, but like, I think Garnacho squared it to him, and it was literally the tip of his toe, and it's like,
yeah.
Everyone's saying Højlund gets no service, but it's not that. I think he's crap at positioning himself. Like, he's got the physicality, he's a big lad, like, he can push defenders out the way, but then he does nothing. So I think, unfortunately, we call a spade, and either sell him or we sign 1 or 2 strikers and he has to sit back and learn from them, because I think Chido should be starting over him. He's not done enough to prove that he should be starting, but I think Amarim's probably proving a point. Like, this is the guy you've got on the front line. He can't score goals. We need to get rid of him, or I need a new striker. So I've tried, but I don't think it's gonna work.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? I'm the same with him. I just kind of, when he started, I was thinking he looked like somebody that needed to be like a second, third striker of a front line. He comes on, he's learning the game, he gets moments, and then maybe you have someone kind of alongside him for a bit. You know, United of old, we'd had 4 strikers, you know, everyone remembers the 99 season, the kind of classic seasons. Even then, when you go on to, you had Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, you had Berbatov, there was options, and you did different things to change games, and I think it could work if you still had that but you don't. And Højlund, for me, just doesn't. It's the link-up play that I find really infuriating with him as well, because he just isn't effective in other ways, besides scoring goals. And I know his primary goal, it has to be scoring goals. He's not doing that, but he's not adding these other elements to the game either, which is causing us all sorts of issues. You say, I think it's going to be a difficult one to suddenly write off that kind of expenditure that they've had and move him on if they want to. You know, he's still young enough, but potentially there's options. And Graham's mentioned Liam Delap's another one that's kind of been mentioned about, and that he's one that's got a low fee. But I mean, it's they really need to be careful with this summer of recruitment, because we are under some restrictions in terms of what we can do. As you say, Han, today a lot of rumours coming out about Cunha coming out, 65 million. I think they said the release clause is on that. Now, I like the fact it's a release clause because it means that financially they know what the structure of that deal would be up front. My worry when we get into discussing with players is that when it's sort of jumping around, that then hinders us from doing other deals, because we're not sure whether that's going to cost us another 20 million more, 10 million more. That means that they're like, right, can we spend that or not? He would fit the Amorim system. He plays in the 10. As you say, Han, he's got Premier League experience. That's my frustration over recent summers, is that we've bought players that they take longer in the Premier League, and we won't have that luxury starting next season. Amorim's not going to be allowed another 6 months to bed everybody into this new system. They've got to hit the ground running. I want people that are in from end of June, start of July, so that they can have the full pre-season with it, so that when it comes to the start of the season, he's running in there. Reservations on Cunha, his attitude a little bit has been a bit concerning at times this season. Is another one that kind of has a bit of a sort of toys out the pram and some issues, of which we've had issues with those kind of players recently. But again, maybe that's a kind of manager culture thing, and that might work well, and Amorim can control that better. Don't know. And yeah, he's an exciting player. Every time I've seen him, I like watching Cunha play. He gets you off the side of your feet. And if you could have someone like Cunha, and I was thinking this the other day, I may have even said it on the other pod, like watching Bruno Fernandes, I'm thinking, just please get some quality around that man. Please get some quality, because the amount of stuff he's doing, the balls, the layoffs and stuff, and you're thinking, God, we could have, and Bruno's numbers would go up even more if he had some quality around him as well. Like,
so many assists this season, like he's up there like with the best, but the amount of like balls and crosses he puts in, it's like if we just had someone on the end of that. And it's been like that every game. Like, I'm bored of saying the same thing on Twitter. It's like it is the same story like every game. So I totally agree. It's really frustrating when we do have these restrictions. But saying that, I think obviously people are forgetting we're going to sell Rashford. That's pure profit. Hopefully Anthony, if Betis can sign him, because he's been doing so well. This is why I'm glad that these players are doing well. I know everyone's like, oh, as soon as they leave United.
So good when players do good on loan, yeah.
He gets sold, that's another one. Eriksen's going, obviously Heaton's going, but the good thing about these players that are leaving, like Sancho, Rashford, Eriksen, they're all on massive wages. Like, that's going to free us up. Someone said to me today, like, oh, Cunha's wages are going to be ridiculous. I'm like, I don't think they'll be that bad, because I don't think Ineos will have that now. I do think that we will see that change. But even if they are a little bit more, we're getting rid of Sancho's on 350 a week, Rashford's on 350 a week. Like, we're getting massive wages off the book. So I think if they can be smart around that and not handing out these ridiculous contracts, like, we might start to see some like movement, especially if we can get rid of, I think we need to probably get rid of like 8 to 10 players if they do. But this is where they need to start saying, this is where Amorim needs to say, I want these youth players to come up now, like, it's their time. But if he does, we'll see.
We'll see whether he does it. I mean, the contract thing, I think, is much better managed. As you said, now we've seen it better than not. You know, remember in the past, we had under the kind of crazy Woodward times where Phil Jones got a 5-year contract towards the end of the season, and we were all going, so what now? Where's that come from? And it was literally, that was their kind of plan, because it was all about where they sat on the balance sheet rather than anything else. And then we ended up with these players that we couldn't move on because they've on such whopping contracts. And you said I think even Lindelof's on a fairly pretty penny, I think, you know, for what is effectively now a 5th choice centre back, you know, arguably when you look at it. It should be on a lot. They need to do more kind of from a recruitment angle. And we've never got the full valuation of the players I even think when we got rid of, like, say, people like Jimmy Garner going and that, and you're just looking like these players at a time, if there were other clubs going to other clubs, they'd be getting like double the fee that United get. So we've never kind of, I don't think, been very good at kind of as a selling club. And this is Ineos's real opportunity now, because they did a little bit of that last summer and they were a bit successful at doing that. And hopefully they can do a bit more this summer and be better at getting more of that finance in, as well as structuring the deals going forward. But Grimmy, where do you sit on Cunha? The hot off saying that they seem to think that things are moving quite quick. Do you like Cunha at Manchester United?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of Amorim's system, he'll fit in quite nicely. Be interested to see what the finances are, because I think that'll be a big indicator as to what this Ineos period, I guess we're going to call it, or ownership is going to look like. Because again, we've bought Dorgu, but they haven't really bought anyone else in to really give us an idea of what the wage structure is going to be like for players. I know obviously we're trying to get rid of a lot of the big contracts, and that looks like a big chunk of that will be happening this summer, like Hannah mentioned. I think the reason I like the Cunha buy is because it's similar to what we used to do back in the day with Fergie. It was, we would buy the best of the Premier League or lower teams. We wouldn't just go out into Europe and think, oh, he scored 20 goals this season, therefore he's the answer. We'd buy people who are proven in the Premier League. Not obviously, we did have the odd one where we bought for our rivals, like your Van Persies, your Berbatov, and people like that. But you look at Dwight York playing for Villa when we bought him. You look at Teddy Sheringham, who played for Spurs and Forest before that. Like, there's players we've had throughout our history who did well in the Premier League in the lower rungs, I'll call it, maybe not that low in some of the clubs, but who've played well in the Premier League and have gone on to play for United and done well. And I think that's what we've missed in our transfer dealings over the past, well, ever since Fergie's left, really. Because we bought people from the Premier League like Sanchez, who at the time everyone was excited about Sanchez, but I'd seen him play for Arsenal the first half of that year, and I'd thought, I don't think he's as good as he was. And obviously it proved to be the case that he scored against Yeovil. I think that was probably his main highlight, really. So yeah, I like the Cunha signing. If we do get him, obviously if we win the Europa, that'll be a big help in attracting players as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But hopefully it's the start of things to come, that we're hearing in the back end of April that we're getting players in. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come, and we can maybe make that work to our advantage. Because again, how many times have we complained that we're getting to end of August and we're still scrambling to try and sign a player, or the deal we've been working on all summer falls through? So hopefully it's a good sign of things to come.
It's definitely hope so. Yeah, the Sanchez one, that was a and there's just this long list. I was looking through like past signings, and they were all ones that on paper and you looked at and went, oh yeah, I can see that. Even going back to kind of, the one that really hacked me off was the one that I was so excited about. I was on holiday and it's transfer deadline day, and I was sat there on Sunday listening to the day before, and when I went to bed. The day before the transfer deadline day, Radamel Falcao was going to Man City. And I was like, oh, no, we cannot. No, that can't. And then it turned up in the morning that we were signing Falcao. I was thinking, this guy is the absolute dream. And then we got his brother or something. It was like Rodri Falcao, because that was just not at all what I was expecting. And you look at our past transfers, and obviously we've got different recruitment now with Ineos, etc. But it's hard, I think, to name anybody, probably apart from Bruno Fernandes, who has gone on to be a better player at Manchester United than when we signed them. Now, obviously, there's a few now. We hope the Lenny Yoros and people like that can maybe be a bit different. But Hannah, have you got more confidence in Ineos and their recruitment from what they did last summer, or do you think that the jury's still out?
I think there was definitely signs of improvement, like you say, with the contracts and how much players are getting paid. I think a big sign for us, like you say, will be the summer, because last summer we kind of gave them a little bit of grace, because they were like, they have literally just come in, they've got this manager that they're not sure if they're going to keep. Like, why would they then sign loads of his players that they want if they're not sure if they're going to keep him? But now they know, I hope that they think, right, we're going to stick with Ruben Amorim, we're going to give him 3, 4, 5 players, see how he gets on with them. But for me, it's not really who we sign, it's who we get rid of. because I can't get on board with owners who are happy with having like reputably crap players on our bench and happy with that, because you see what happens when one or two players get injured. One or two players that are playing well, your Amad Diallo's, your Luke Shaw's, like I know Luke Shaw's been like consistently injured this season, but when he's good, he's great. So when one or two wheels fall off, the whole team capitulates. And I'm not blaming the injuries for our bad season, but it's certainly not helped. And we even like last season was worse for injuries. So I want them to have players that they know, even if we strip to the bare bones, we've got some decent squad players. So even if they do sign, you know, slightly unproven players for 10 million, if they're young, if they want to get stuck in and come and play for us, I'm up for that. It's my issue is having Victor Lindelof, Tom Heaton still on our bench. Like I'd rather them get rid of Bayindir and Heaton and just sign two younger goalkeepers, or bring Harrison up from the academy. Like he's brilliant. I know obviously again you don't want to be throwing these players into these Premier League games, but get them in the cup games, get them in the early knockout Europe games. You know, all of these things are experience. So for me, of course it's important who we sign, and I think like Grimmy said, the fact that we're getting transfer news in April and it's apparently really close, which it is like decent sources, I do believe that, is unheard of and is amazing. But it's going to not really make a massive difference if then we still have Lindelof and Højlund sat on our bench, because when like Cunha gets injured, when like Xerxes injured, if we get a striker and he gets injured, we then are back at square one. Yeah. So if they can really like shift round and get rid of some of the dead wood, I'll be impressed then. So I think this is their like, you know, no pressure, but they've got a lot of time. Like the summer window's long, and if they plan like they are seeming to now, they can hit the ground running. But just get rid of those players that offer us nothing. And like I will say, the one reservation I do have with Cunha, like I think he's probably one of the best wingers on the market right now, especially for our system. But he is known to be a little bit of a diva. He, like, you know, he's had a few red cards this season where he's had 5-game bans because he's pulled glasses off assistants, and he goes on Instagram and posts that he basically wants to leave Wolves. Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying that's the be all and end all, but sometimes when you mix that with a Manchester United player, like we see what a little bit of ego does to these players. So I just hope that if he does come, like he's kind of monitored in that sense and he's told to rein that in, because you know, a Man United player sneezes and it's all over the news. Oh my God, seen out in hail in a tracksuit, anything. So if we get a player like that we spend, because 60 odd million is a decent amount of money, that will be the headline. So I just hope if we do sign him, he's told to like behave pretty much.
We do need him to behave. As you say, that's my big concern with him is these kind of, I think I saw a stat like he's off the ball, he's one of the highest walking players as well. Like when he's not kind of got the ball now, I was like, oh, we need another one of them. But you would imagine the recruitment of an Amorim are sort of full on into that. You know, they know what they'd be getting. Graham says Bruno will keep Cunha in check. Zer says splash the cast on Victor Osimhen. Graham also says do what Arsenal do and play the kids in the League Cup. Yeah, give some of them a chance. Let's at least we'll know, so we'll know what we could call up next season. I think that's important, and maybe you'll find a sort of gem or two that we don't know about in the first team just yet. But as you said, Han, I think shall we, as we're on about who that we need to clear out some of the dead wood. Should we go? Let's go through the squad. Let's go through the squad and say like, this is our guy. This is not our guy. Maybe this is the guy. Don't gonna know what categories we have.
Could be a while then.
it could be a while. Right, so I'm gonna go. I've got the squad up here, so I'm gonna go in number order. So the first one, Altay, Bayindir, Grimmy. So you can. I'll go to both of you on each player. What do you reckon on Altay? Because my thing with Altay, very quickly before you do, was everyone was on about obviously Onana's mistake in Lyon. I was like, I've not been convinced what I've seen of Altay so far yet. Hasn't had that many opportunities, but the Tottenham game was a mess. The Arsenal game was good. The Newcastle game was a bit of a mess. What do you reckon?
I think personally, I know he had a great game against Arsenal. And I think there might have even been a mistake in that one, if I remember rightly. Either the first or second one, I can't remember. But I personally would probably get rid of him. I think we just need to. He may well be one of the ones that ends up staying because he is a backup after all. And again, is he going to play that much in the grand scheme of things? Probably not. And will we get that much from him? Again, probably not. But I personally, from what I've seen with that Spurs game, like you say, and the Newcastle game, I'm not really being convinced by him, to be honest. Love him as a penalty shootout keeper because he's great at that. I prefer him over Onana in penalty shootouts. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think I'd get rid.
Get rid. Where are you with Altai, Hannah?
Third choice, but if we can, we should get rid of him. I think we should only have I know it's hard, but I think we should only have the best of the best, even as our backups, like I say, because when one gets injured, and if they're good enough from the academy, bring them up. If they're good enough, they're old enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily have, because we sold Kovar, and he's an excellent goalkeeper. So
he was good in pre-season.
We just sell people that we don't need to, and then buy a worse replacement. People will say we shouldn't have got rid of De Gea. I think it was De Gea's time to go, but I think Onana was the wrong replacement, for example. So I don't know, but buying it, third choice, if not go. For me.
Yeah, it's a tough one. As you say, Heaton's gonna go, and then we'll sign another, because it seems to be the trend, doesn't it, to have a player coach third choice goalkeeper. So we'll buy another 50-year-old goalkeeper or something or other who's who knowing us will end up being in goal for half a season. So best of luck to him, whoever he is. Next up, Victor Lindelof. Now Lindelof's out of contract, so going, isn't he? I think that's a fair sort of it's Victor's time, I think.
Gone. Every transfer window, I'm like, how this man's like a 9-lives cat. How does he survive? But he gets injured just before every transfer window. So I'm like, we see what you're doing, Victor. We see you. But no, he needed to go a long time ago.
It's clever, yeah. They're just not top level enough. He'll go to someone in Europe and probably do sort of okay. I think he gets bullied a lot aerially, and I think there's a lot of other issues. I think, but has done a good stint for us. But it's time to go. Sean says bring back Lindegaard. Oh yeah, Lindegaard. Yeah. We should bring back Sergio Romero, the best number 2 in the world ever. Sergio Romero. Yeah. What a keeper that man was. Miss him completely. It used to be. This might be I might be showing my age with this one, but back in the day, we used to have Peter Schmeichel used to get injured every time we got to a really crucial European knockout game. I think it was the semi-finals against Dortmund, and Raymond van der Hauw had to come in, and it was kind of perfectly okay, but it was always the biggest game of the season, and Schmeichel would twinge his back. It was always the European knockout game we went out of. I was like, I don't want to see Raymond van der Hauw in my goal away at flipping Bayern Munich in the semi-final of the Champions League. It's just kind of that. But next up, I think definitely a key, probably one of our best buys of summer. Mazraoui's done an exceptional job for us, and such a utility player as well. So I think unanimous keep him.
I'm going to touch wood when I say this, but everyone said he was injury prone. Everyone was like, yeah, he's played 2 games for Bayern. I think he is our bargain of the season, and I want to see more business like that, because I think he's been great. And even if he's not as starting, on the starting back 3, he's a great squad player.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We can play him centre back. He can play on that right. He can even fit in sort of midfield as a holding midfielder if you need him to as well, and play both sides. So definitely Mazraoui. And he came as part, and probably De Ligt. De Ligt for me was getting a lot of unfair. I know, no one in this United side can put their hand up and say, wow, fantastic, team of the year. But De Ligt was getting a lot, particularly while he was kind of adjusting. I mean, I didn't say he set the world alight by any means, but I think De Ligt's done fairly all right.
Yeah, he has. He started out. I think there was a couple of shaky games at the start where he was maybe getting used to it, but I'd have him next season in the middle of that defense every day of the week, to be honest. I think, again, we've said it a couple of times earlier that the defense isn't really the problem, I don't think, especially the centre-backs. I think we've got a good set of centre-backs to take into next year. I know there's likes of Lindelof who are probably going to go, and maybe Johnny Evans is probably going to retire. Bless him.
Never. Johnny will never retire.
We'll probably be wheeling him out in a wheelchair when he's 87 in 50 years' time. So, yeah, why not?
He will still out-jump Lindelof at the corner, I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, you'd probably be able to hop him now, to be fair. But, yeah, I think De Ligt's been absolutely fine. Yeah, has he made mistakes? Yes, everyone has in the team. I don't think there's anyone who's been even close to a solid 7 or 8 out of 10 consistently this year. So, yeah, I mean, I don't get the De Ligt hate, to be honest.
No, he's still only 25 as well. Still only 25. So, that's still, you can get some very good years out. He's played 50 times for the Netherlands as a 25-year-old. So a lot of experience. And again, he was another, people said injuries, etc. And okay, he's out injured at the moment. So maybe not the best time to quote not being injured, but, has played 28 Premier League games and 40 games he's played for us this season. So, and that was kind of a bit of a myth when you go back. He played 30 for Bayern last season, 43 the season before, 42 for Juventus before. So, he picks niggles up. But I think a lot of modern players do in this kind of crazy calendar situation. So, yeah, I think that's a good option. We'll keep him. Next up, we've got on the list, of course, triggered a contract extension. The best striker at the club, Harry Maguire. Now, what a turnaround Harry Maguire's come. I think last year everyone was like, well, we can't. But I don't know. He's become such a bit of a cult hero. I'd be sad to see Maguire go. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I would keep Maguire just mainly for his experience. I think you've got a good leader there. I mean, again, there was the whole thing about taking the captaincy off him and last season and giving it to Bruno or whatever. But for me, he's clearly one of the leaders of the dressing room. Is he what we would want to have at centre back? Is he the best option we could possibly have? Probably not. But I think this past 18 months, he's probably been the most consistent in defence. Like, you look at Martinez being injured for like 90% of that time. You look at, Evans being in there. I know Yoro's only really starting to show his, like, not necessarily potential, but he's starting to get up to gear with the Premier League properly now. And he's had a good run. And Lindelof's been Lindelof. So, it's like, I would keep Maguire. I know we've extended his contract anyway, but I just think for keeping a leadership or a leader in the team and having someone who can back up Bruno in that stake, I think kind of makes all the sense in the world. And again, like we said before, the defense isn't the issue. It's going forward. And I think Maguire's been a big part of being solid at the back, as well as De Ligt and Yoro and maybe one or two signings we make in the summer in that regard.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned his contract extensions. It's for a year anyway, so we're going to need that. It gives you something different as well, Maguire. I think to the other people in the back line. Graham says it should have been a prime candidate for absolutely or absolutely not. Oh yes,
no,
the game. The game we play, which we should have done it that way. But never mind, Graham. We make it up on the fly. So now we have the butcher, the man who loves a tackle, who's, again, a bit of a worry from an injury perspective. Anna, where are you at with Martin? The question is he going to play in that back line long term?
As well, do you remember we've signed a left back called Diego Leon from
we have, yeah.
So he's going to be coming in. I think Harry Amas is going to be knocking at the door to be starting games. I think kind of similar to where I'm at with like Maguire and a few other players that I've mentioned. I don't think he will be going forward for much longer in our starting 11, but I think when he's fit, he's a great squad player to have. I think it's probably going to be a case of, because of his fitness, kind of, I know Luke Shaw's been at the club for a lot longer, but he's probably going to start to be phased out a little bit. But I think if he can stay fit and if he can, get some starts and come off the bench and others, I think he's decent to have. But I think as a long-term prospect, probably not, sadly. Like, I think he's been great that first season. Like, I wish I could redo that all over again, but I think unfortunately, like, he's just too injury prone. Like, he gets there and then he has a tweak, but he doesn't. The problem with Martin is he's out for a week. He's out for months. He's out for the season. His injury stints are long. So I think long term it's probably not going to work, but I think he's decent to have at least for another season for sure.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me on that left-hand side as well, that defence you're looking at going to, Euros played there a few. Aidan Heaven was very good when he came in for that kind of period. He's another one that you think, yeah, I'd keep him in the squad. Yeah, I think you've got to. I think where it's at, but I'd worry long-term with the injuries that's going to continue to be a problem. Marlon says if we want a kipper, I presume we keep a kipper. Go shop at Chelsea. They have 9 kippers. Chelsea love a good kipper. Chelsea just love a signing. Let's be honest. They love a good signing wherever they play. Next out's a tricky one. Mason Mount, Grimmy. I don't want to break Shah's heart because he loves a bit of Mason Mount. We just don't see enough of him.
It's a difficult one, but for me, seeing him getting back in to fitness, if you want to call it that, I guess, or seeing him play bit by bit, and him being an option for Amorim coming off the bench, like away at Lyon when he came off the bench with Xerxes, he changed that game for us, and he
knows the system.
He suits the system. So when you think we're going to get rid of a bunch of players, but we can't get rid of everybody, I think Mount's probably one of the ones that we would like to keep hold of and pray that he can super glue his legs back together and not have to be put back on the injury list. I would probably keep him for another year and see if we can get some fitness out of him, and then after that, just if he gets a big injury again, I'd probably say thanks, but no thanks. Sorry, Mason, but you're in the rubble. You're in the pile of rubble we're chucking out with the rest of Old Trafford when that gets replaced.
Yeah, I want to see him stay fit and given the opportunity, but I don't know about you, Hannah. I worried the numbers. It's the numbers for me. We're still not, when he has played, there's still no assists, there's no goals. I don't think he scored, no.
Kind of similar to Martinez, like when he can play, Luke Shaw as well, when he can play, so good. And I think if he was fit all the time, he'd be such a massive part of this system. But he's just not, like, he just can't stay fit, and it's such a shame. And I don't want us to get rid of him this summer purely as well for, like, embarrassingly how much we spent on him, like. But probably the same with Martinez next season. You'll probably think that he'll be going, but if he could stay fit, he would honestly be such a good player, and everyone would shut up because they'd be like, he's a decent signing for United. Like, Chelsea didn't shaft them, but at the moment it feels like that.
Yeah, he's a good, as I say, if he's fit. For me, Mason Mount was one. If we'd have got him for a free contract at the end of his contract, because that's a great squad addition, really good squad addition, can kind of fill a few kind of gaps. But for that much money, I want output, and we haven't seen it yet. He's going to stay around. You want him to be fit, and he could be a good man to use in this system. So hopefully we can see. Graham says, give him a year to prove he's not made of glass, and see where we sit. I think we all agree Bruno Fernandes ain't going anywhere, or hopefully ain't bloody going anywhere, because that would be that would be championship football.
Because I want him to, like, I'm not saying we will definitely before he leaves, but I would just love him to win like a major trophy with United. Like, he deserves that Europa League so much. Like, he just deserves more. So I hope he doesn't leave, but he probably will.
Yeah, I respect the fact of how much he's given to kind of the club and the stuff he comes out, and that's why I think everyone's, particularly United fans, are probably defensive of him to the criticism that he gets, because it does seem to be over the board. That always has been with Bruno Fernandes, and I get, like, everybody was like, oh, I can't give him captaincies, that he throws his hands up, and no one has ever been able to answer me the question of, if you don't give it to Bruno, which one of these other clowns are you giving the captaincy? Like, we're not sat there with a bloody dressing room of Brian Robson and Roy Keane and, like, leaders and Peter Schmeichel, and, like, you've got flipping Bruno Fernandes or Andre Onana. I mean, for crying out loud, like, what are you doing there? So I think I wouldn't blame him if he did, but I don't think he will, and I think Amorim's sort of in his ear, hopefully keeping him at the club, because that would be, if that news came out, I think we'd all just quit football.
No, you're not seeing me for at least 5 years if we lose Bruno this summer. I am going on the longest sabbatical you've ever seen.
I'm surprised that others, I mean, there must have been people that have, or have, like, quietly behind the scenes. I'm surprised one of the other big European haven't gone at him. Do you know what I mean? I think he'd be, imagine him, like, I could imagine someone like a Madrid or a Bayern Munich or somebody like that would absolutely love a Bruno. So, I mean, we're obviously paying him a pretty penny, but at least he earns it compared to some of the others that are sat there on their pretty pennies. Rasmus Hojlund we've kind of talked about, so we'll gloss over that one. Joshua Xerxes, as we said, frustrating. He's kind of improved in recent times. I like the fact that this deal wasn't too expensive, but I think the expectations on him were crazy, and people were quite critical of him at the start. And he did look a bit lost early on, but he's just like he's quite such a beautiful footballer to watch. Sometimes he's a very different kind of footballer, but he's never going to be your numbers guy. Like he is another one kind of in the squad. So do you see Hannah a future for him in this Amorim team?
I think I'm not just saying this for everyone, but I do think he probably long term going forward won't be one of our starting players. But when he comes off the bench, he's so good. Like he saved us in some of these games, like the Lyon game. I think his link up and his like some of the football he plays is so silky, but like you say, he's just not going to be the guy that bangs them in the net. I think one of the reasons that probably didn't help him, that people were so like disappointed in him, was because he scored in that first game in the of the season against Wolves. So I think the fact that he didn't like get that is he scored then, so people were thinking, right, when Anthony scored in his first 3 games, we were like, oh my god, we've got the next
here?
Messi. They kind of fake pump you. So I think when he scored in that opening game, everyone was like, oh my god, amazing. But then obviously he drops off because the pressure gets to them. So I think as a squad player, great, but like long term again, probably not going to be a starting player. But I think definitely give him another few seasons because again, it's only his first season. I think we're being harsh if we say so.
Yeah, this is it. I think and there may be a place for him in a squad, and a squad that's scoring goals and has like top players around him that are hitting numbers. I think Xerxes does something potentially in the future for us. But those Anthony, I think I refer to them as the Anthony catfish games. I think where we were all kind of sold on something that we certainly didn't get at all. Next up, we've got Patrick Dorgu. Dorgu's an interesting one because it's kind of early days. Obviously, he's going to be there. He's Amorim's kind of first signing in terms of coming through. What have you made of Dorgu so far? I think positionally been okay, but again, wanting more.
Yeah, I think he's been. I think you consider his age and a really lack of experience in terms of games he's played in his whole career. I think he's been fine. I think you can see the potential there of if he has a good summer, he could kick on and be. I don't know if he's a starter yet. I think the potential's there for him to be a starter. It's just again, if Luke Shaw's I made the joke about sticking your legs together with Mason Mount. I could say the same thing about Luke Shaw. If Luke Shaw's not going to be first team and he's going to be a squad player, then Dorgu's kind of the only left back that we've got realistically who could be in, week out. So, I mean, obviously we're keeping him. It's not a question of that for me. My question is do we go out and get a first team left back to replace him when maybe in 1 or 2 years Dorgu's probably going to be that guy anyway? I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, so far of what I've seen of Dorgu, I think he's been a good signing so far anyway.
Yeah, and you possibly got this is it. I don't think he's done anything. He's coming into a side that's terrible as well. That's struggling. He's coming in struggling. On that left hand side with kind of someone who's not used to kind of playing the 10 role when Garnacho's played there either. So I don't think it's kind of helped him really. Maybe you said you got Harry Amas coming through for extra squad cut. Diego Leon, as you said, Hannah might be an option in the future too. So they bought him in January. So.
Come from Syria, and it was Lecce who big up Shaw, who again they were fighting relegation when he left, so he's not used to playing for a club of our stature and at that high of a standard. So I think he's shown some promising signs, but he's obviously an Amorim signing, so I'm going to give him all the chance in the world until proved otherwise.
Yeah.
This is it. He deserves his chance. Up the utility FC. Completely agree, Graham. Definitely so. That actually, Graham, maybe you may have noticed you can be a member of the Absolute Football Podcast now and sort of join the chat. We have emojis, and I am working on one which is going to be a Shah Lecky emoji, hopefully. So I'm hoping for the lower league, we're going to be ready with a bit of Lecky for you. Elsewhere in that, the next two, we'll breeze through some of these. Lenny Yoro and Amad Diallo staying, both big members of United's future, I think. Next one's probably a bit more Alejandro Garnacho, which probably last season would have all said stay, but Hannah's calling him a taxi. Garnacho, you had enough?
Sorry, when Chelsea came knocking, I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, no, not even for 70 million, absolutely not. but now I would drive him to Stamford Bridge. Everyone thinks I'm being harsh, like when I like voice this on like Twitter, for example. Oh well, he's only 20, blah blah blah. But his ball carrying is great, and I think it looks as well even better because we don't really have any ball carriers in the team. But his decision making is so bad, and he's so selfish. I think he just wants to get all the goals for himself, which is fine if he's like banging them in. But there's especially on like especially, but same stories this season. Like he's just been so wasteful. It's like if he'd squared that, that would have got. Like his decision making is just so poor, and like you were saying, Sam, we don't really have time to carry passengers, especially in our front line. That they've got to come in and do something. And the problem with Garnacho is like he does this like silky football like and looks really good, like he's got these good techniques, but he kind of is one of those players that looks like he's doing a lot, but he's actually not. It's all kind of for show. And don't get me wrong, he's had some great moments, and he scored in the FA Cup final. I do appreciate that, but I think when push comes to shove, his football IQ, as they say, just isn't there. He's like I say, a great ball carrier, but that's all he does. And because we don't have any other players like that, it makes him look better. But I just don't think bottom line he's good enough for us and for the system. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I agree completely on the decision making. I think the decision making is something I need to see massive improvement with. Like, is it? I think his first touch, I think, is very good, and I think there's times and he gets into that space, and some of that I think is very high level, and then it's just let down so often by either the decision or then the execution of what he's trying to do, and that can either be. There's been so many times, as you said, like. A couple I've seen Bruno go nuts at him because it's like the weight of the part. I mean, I was always one like not saying I'm anywhere near the level of these players we're talking about, but I remember when I used to play, it was always like the pass for me was like the key bit. And it used to wind me up so much when players do some fantastic stuff and then almost like switch off a little bit and play a lazy, and it's like a yard behind somebody, and you're like just kills a move, just kills the pace that needs to be in front of them, or like a ball so that Bruno can run on and hit it, and suddenly he's got to take a touch, and the defender's on him, and that when he cuts inside, and you're like, this is going in one or two places. It's going in Rose Ed because he's going for the far corner, or it's that dribbly one that he hits to that just p rolls into the. And now and again you see something, and I know he's scored one or two recently, and again probably a confidence thing, playing in not as good a back line, so not as effective last season. But you see moments like the bicycle kick last season against Everton, which was just insanely kind of world class. And I do think he's one that if he does go, we would see probably get better somewhere else. I just think with Garnacho, he's one of those when I don't think we're in the luxury with moving on unless we see that the benefit of the FFP, because he's got that kind of homegrown status where we got him so young, whether that's a benefit. Do you think, Grimmy, they need to cash in because that is an important factor in their decision making?
Yes, because I think if he has another season like this, where he scored a couple of goals, but he's not really lit. He's not lit the Premier League alight. I think if he has another season like this, where he's not giving the service to the striker and he's just blowing everything 30 yards over the bar, I don't think there's going to be many top European clubs that are going to be coming after him. So for that reason, I would get rid of him. I think we can get a good 40, 50 million out of Garnacho if we negotiate the price right. And there are plenty of clubs out there. We've seen it with Chelsea. We saw it with Napoli. I'm sure there'll be a few Spanish teams in there that would be interested in him. And I think again, I would love nothing more than him to kick on in the summer and have a great season for us next year. I just don't think when he's been in and around the team for 2-3 years now, when he can't see Hoylands and acres of space and he can't make that pass, he has to cut it inside and try and to curl it top corner. And that's all right when you hit them every other shot. If you put them in the top corner every shot, that's not a problem. But he doesn't do that. It's 1 every 10, if that. I would guess that's what the ratio is. So if he's not contributing enough, whether it's assists or goals, he has to go. And it's unfortunate because I want the youngsters to come through and do well. And I'm sure in Spain or Italy, he would probably be fantastic. Like we've seen with McTominay this year, he'd probably have a fantastic season. But I just don't think he's going to have the mentality to learn to when to pass it for United, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's a big decision they've got to make. They've got to make on Garnacho this summer for sure. One who's definitely on a big wage, Casemiro, is on a bloody big wage, and I think he's carrying it around with him when he's trying to move around that midfield, isn't he? Because it's not good. Hannah, Casemiro, can we move him on?
Should go. He's come out and said, I don't know if anyone saw that he wants to retire at United, and I'm thinking, yeah, bet he does. Bet he does. Of course he does on that wage, comfortable. But saying that, like, I feel like the last few games, when he's played in his correct position, we've kind of had a glimpse of that first season again. Like, he was so solid on Thursday night, and we wouldn't have scored those last two goals if it wasn't for him.
No, to be fair, no.
So probably he does need to leave, and he is probably classed as, like, the dead wood. But part of me thinks maybe another season. I don't know, but I am unsure. I don't think I could answer that one. I feel very similar about Dallo. I know we'll get to Dallo, but those are like two players that I'm really like. We would probably miss them if they left. Because look, I said I didn't want us to sell McTominay because we'd miss him, and we're missing him. We missed that guy, so I feel like Casemiro, like, I just have a soft spot for him. Like, he just looks like a little Cabbage Patch Kid, and he's uncle, and he's like. But that aside, if I'm talking football, which is what we're here to do, I would maybe keep him as a bench option for the next season, because when he's needed and when he's played correctly, I think he's done really well. He was misprofiled, I think, by Ten Hag, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, he's I think, as you say, the problem for me is the mobility. It's the mobility, and sometimes the sloppiness, and that's coming because he's sort of slow in that kind of position. But what he does do is he does move the ball forward, and he can pick a pass forward, and he can do that, which again is a quality that we kind of don't have an awful lot in that team unless we've got Bruno in a deeper position to do that. But again, you don't really want Bruno down there because then he's not playing in your 10, and we have all of those kind of issues. I think if you have Casemiro, you've got to have an awful lot more mobility around him that we don't have at the moment. What I don't ever want to see again is Casemiro and Eriksen in the same midfield. That's just like the most. Whenever you see that on a team sheet, you're just like, this is horrific. This is going.
Midfield 3 in the league.
Oh, it's just so scary to see. So scary to see. Graham thinks he thought he'd already retired at United, giving him the big uns. It's just, for me, it's a lot of money for what you're getting in terms of return, and you could probably use that in a different way. Grimmy, what do you think, Casemiro?
If I could, I'd get rid of him. I just think the wages we pay that guy and for what he's done this season is pretty criminal, to be honest. I see the argument of keeping him for another year and him being a backup. I think Amram, the past month or two, has maybe understood what the issues are with Casemiro and being able to utilize him a bit more, which is saying something, because again, before that, there was no utilization of that man. And like kind of said, when he said that he could retire at United and he wants to stay for the long term, yeah, I imagine you will on 300 plus grand a week, and I would probably do the same if I was him. So yeah, can I see him? I think he will be here next year, but if it was me personally, I would try and just find anybody who has some money to them and be like, here's a shiny Casemiro for you. But yeah, I think he will be here next year, unfortunately.
I give David Beckham a ring it into Miami and just say, look, World Cup, Casemiro would be nice to have there. You know, he's one of those. You could, take him off our hands a little bit, free that money up to go and reshape the whole midfield. You know, could be done. I feel like it's selling an old second-hand car that could be enough to sort of redecorate the living room. That's what I feel is needed a bit. Yeah, it's tough. We'll whiz through a few of these others because I know Grimmy's got to go at 10. We've only got 10 minutes, so I will say in terms of these other ones we've got Ugarte, we've just recently signed, so Ugarte's still kind of here. Aiden Heaven, young kid, we just signed, looking good. Johnny Evans is going to go on a legendary free with his head held high for what he's done for us. Kobbie Mainoo, obviously there's talks around that, but Kobbie Mainoo cannot be going, I don't think.
No,
future captain.
Oh, this was the argument I had the other day with someone was I would sell Garnacho and basically give whatever Garnacho was getting paid, give him to Kobe. And just keep Kobe there. There's no point keeping Garnacho when he looks as miserable as he does on the pitch anyway. And I like Hannah says, he's a future United captain if we play the cards right with him and we actually develop him like he's been developing. I know he's had a bit of a shaky second season with the injuries and getting back into fitness and all that stuff, but he's come back in this latest spell and he is making a difference when he's coming off the bench. So yeah, absolutely keep Kobe Mainoo if we can. If you'll sign that contract, get it signed tomorrow, please.
He's been working out. He's put on some muscle. Like I feel like next season, if he can stay fit, like he's going to be the key to our midfield, I think. And it's interesting to see how Amram's going to play him because sometimes he puts him in that forward position, but he has to be a future United captain. We cannot get rid of him, even if Madrid come knocking, has 150 million.
he's not allowed. He's not going. Spain fan Chris is back with us. So we've got our video printer back. It's 5 minutes injury time. Man City Villa. That's still 1-1 going on at the moment in the Premier League. So we will touch on. There's two more I want to touch on. Luke, I can't be doing the Luke Shaw argument again. Luke Shaw's a question of injury and whatever. It's just I can't. Luke Shaw's just a forever question. Diego Dallo. Now. I think everyone is a bit on the. I'm sort of with you, Hannah. I'm very much on the fence because I think he does an good job. There's some things he could do a lot better and things that frustrate. But then you're like, we need to identify someone that is the right kind of character for that system and that position. And then in that case, is Dallo. Are we happy to have Dallo as that secondary backup, as you said, knowing that probably whoever we sign will then be injured for bloody 9 months? And there's Diego Dallo right back again. So, Hannah, where are you at with Dallo?
I'm really not sure. Like, a few months ago, I was saying he needs to go, but then he's improving again. Like, he's had a pretty crap season, like most of the squad have, but again, he's improved the last few weeks. I would say keep, but definitely out the door next summer. Like he needs to be, one of our backups. But I think like Casemiro, he's probably one of the ones that should probably go, but he won't be going this summer. Like that's just where I'm at with him.
Yeah, I think where are you at, Grimmy?
No, I'd keep him. I think him and Mazraoui on the right hand side of things is a good combo to have, whether it's first team or backup. So again, when we got rid of Wan-Bissaka last year, I think I was maybe more leaning towards Dallo going instead of Wan-Bissaka because I think in the big games Wan-Bissaka was able to shut those players down much better than Dalot was. But yeah, I'd keep Dalot for another year. I think he's had a poor season because he's been playing on that left hand side way more than he really realistically should have been. Obviously with Shaw's injuries, so I do think that's made a big difference. But hopefully with some players coming back to fitness, touch wood. Then hopefully he gets to play on the side that he needs to a bit more often and plays on the right.
Yeah, it's to say they're going to keep him. I think I can't see them moving Dallo on. I think with what they've got in the squad and what else they've got to move on. But the last one is the man between the posts. I can't believe it's not butter because it's all over my gloves when it comes to a European game on a constant basis. We had some absolute nonsense from him last week. Grimmy, Andre Onana. What do we do with him?
Onana, the conundrum of Onana. No, I'd sell him. I'd get rid of him at this point. I think with a goalkeeper, pretty early on whether or not he's going to be the one to stick between the posts. It's one of those rare positions that if you're going to keep them or not. I think we've had enough evidence this season to know that long term he's not the right guy. Whether we can get rid of him or not is another question because realistically, are we going to be able to sell him for that much? When we bought him, was it 55?
50 odd mil, wasn't it?
50 million, yeah. So I don't think we're going to necessarily get 50 million for him. We could probably get a decent 25, 30 for him, which is, again, I think it's probably more than I would expect. But yeah, I think we could get a young goalkeeping talent that could be there for the next 10, 15 years and do a much better job than Onana can. So yeah, for me personally, I think it's all well and good having the confidence, because clearly he has confidence. It may be misguided confidence, but he has confidence. But when he's saying things like he did about Leon going into that first leg, and then he has the howlers that he had there, that's just, you can't be doing that. And he's not a long-term option, really, is he?
That comment to Matt was just like, even if you're the best goalkeeper in the world that hasn't made a mistake for the past 5 years, what the hell are you doing? Like, how is that a sensible thing to say? And he was like, oh, I didn't really mean it. And then went on to have another dig. And you're like, just stop talking, Andre. Just stop. Don't put this man in front of a camera. I know he's made so many mistakes, particularly like you go back to last season in the Champions League. He cost us the Champions League as well. We got knocked out because it was mistake after mistake after mistake. Are you done with Onana?
But I think they won't. I don't think they'll let him go in the summer. But I do think if worse comes to worse, he's not the worst. I don't think he'll want to. So if it's a case of if he wants to and he stays, but I think he'd be like a good backup option for like some cup games. But we definitely need, like, I really wanted Diego Costa. Like, we definitely need a better goalkeeper for sure. Like I say, even if he's backup, but I think he should go. I just don't think they'll sell him. I would be really surprised.
Yeah. I don't think they'll sell him either. What surprises me is, I'm just baffled. Like, when we bought him, it was because he was such a fantastic ball playing goalkeeper, and that is just, the mistakes are one thing, but the ball playing's been awful at times as well. Remember early on, and he was pinging those balls out to sort of the wide players are doing that. When was the last time you saw him sort of do any of that? And then on top of that, then when you've got the mistakes, and he's not as, they're always going to compare him back to De Gea, and I agree with what you said earlier, Hannah. It was the right time for De Gea to go, because De Gea was making kind of mistakes, the way we were trying to play and what we were doing. Everyone was like comparing it to prime time De Gea, and we hadn't seen that De Gea for a few years. I know he's having a really good season now with Fiorentina, and sort of pleased for him because I've always liked De Gea, but I think we've sort of then got this goalkeeper that's not as good a shot stopper as kind of what we had, and then we lost the ball playing element, and then we added crazy ass mistakes as well on top, which De Gea was giving us last season, so we just haven't made that kind of jump. So yeah. It's tough. And Man City have gone and got a winner. So what a wonderful world, what a wonderful season that we're having, that we're living in. It's wonderful, isn't it? So there we go. We've done the squad. We were going to do the part. I know you've got to go, haven't you, shortly, Grimmy? So we won't do too.
Unfortunately, yes.
We won't go through too much of the Premier League because, who cares? It's all about the Europa League, as Ruben Amorim says. That's where it's at. Hannah, can the future be brighter? Can it be? Can you see a world in which we're having a very different discussion in 12 months' time?
I can, and I know people. We've been saying this for 10 years, but I do think with a few changes in personnel, player-wise, not management, and give Ruben another season, I think we'll be fine. I think as well, the league's obviously it's been a combination of really competitive and really shit for everyone this season. It's been a bit of a funny league. I do think next season, I know you can't rely on other people, like teams doing better and worse, but I do think it will settle down a little bit next season. I think your Forest, your Bournemouth, I'm not saying they're going to be terrible next season, but I don't know if they're going to be how they've been this season. I think obviously those teams doing really well has made it interesting, but it's obviously made it harder for us. So I think we'll be fine. We're not getting relegated this season. I think a good summer and we'll be okay. Yeah, surely.
Okay. We're mathematically safe, so we can start planning for the Premier League in 25-26 for better times ahead. Well, I feel better. We've done a bit of therapy. I feel more therapeutic having talked it through with you two. We all feel like we've got it out there, and now we just need to go on and win the Europa League. Why not? Let's make it a fantastic end to what has been a pretty shoddy season from a Manchester United perspective. But what isn't shoddy is what you should be doing and following these wonderful people and what they're doing in terms of their lives and their socials. So Grimmy, where can everybody follow you? What are you doing on your YouTube at the moment?
Yeah, so St. Grimmy's my main YouTube channel at the minute. That's mainly like video games, sports games mainly. Doing some live streams in the next few days. Probably will be talking about Man United a lot there as well, because I found out that therapy for Man United, there isn't enough I can talk about without getting it off my chest. So yeah, so that'll probably be happening next few days. And then yeah, that's kind of the main thing at the minute that I'm working on. So yeah, go check it out.
Magic beans, dude. Graham's bringing us a Hoyland Europa League winning goal in the final in Cardiff.
Oh,
Love
Graham,
that.
don't tease me.
Living in a world of dreams that are coming our way very soon. And where can everybody find the wonderful Hannah? Where are you and what are you up to?
I am still on Twitter, still trying to not lose the will to live over there. At United Han, and I did change my TikTok so it's the same as my Twitter, so it's all at United Han. If you could follow me over there, that'd be great. I can't say I'm going to post much more this season, but there's always pre-season.
This is it. Transfer excitement, and there's 3 months where preseason games don't really matter, so you don't really lose a game. We've got the summer series. Maybe we're going to win the summer series or whatever they're bloody calling it at the end of the season in America. How exciting. How exciting. And you can catch me at Sam Absolute FBL on Twitter, my YouTube channel at Sam Absolute EFL. I'm preparing for the end of the season and stuff that's going on there because Man United can't hurt me in there. I can just talk about 24 teams that don't currently affect me. We'll see how that works out next season. But of course, do follow the wonderful Absolute Football Podcast. We are here 3 times a week, absolutely Premier League on a Tuesday. Absolutely women's football with Freya and #Team Chaos. They'll be talking Women's Champions League tomorrow. They've got a bit of Super League, bit of Championships, lots going on. Women's football. They've also got the Women's Euros coming up this summer, so it's going to be exciting summer of football for them as well. And on Thursday, absolutely lower league. Well, we've had a promotion. The wonderful Dan, the wonderful Turf Moorhouse Dan, and his Burnley have been promoted to the Premier League. So we will be seeing some of lovely Dan on a Tuesday next season, which is possibly the most exciting news that you could have received today. He's welcome to go on Thursday as well. Everyone can go wherever they like on a show, but it would be lovely to see Dan back. But you can see Shah and the wonderful lower league team. We have also been putting out teasers because we have a big announcement coming out for the 28th of March. Shah's going to announce that on Thursday, so don't miss that on the Thursday show where they'll be talking everything EFL National League as those leagues come to an end. We are on Twitter, Absolute Ball Pod. We're on YouTube, Absolute Football Podcast, and Twitch, on TikTok, Absolute Football Pod, Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky Absolute Football, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. And Graham's digging it into Dan already. You're going back down. So don't even bother coming up. Not even been officially promoted, received any trophies yet, and Graham has already said they're going back down. But yeah, it is a problem, and we will discuss that in shows to come, promoted size, relegation, all those kind of issues. But for now, thank you everybody for joining us. It's been wonderful. Thank you for being with us for our therapy session. We'll be back with other things going on in the Premier League next Tuesday. But have a fantastic week, and we shall catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.